In this video, I will give you my tips and tricks on lower body workout. Let's get right into it. The first thing I like to do is to start with a warm-up, getting the heart rate going, starting off with reverse lunges. I have different ways to warming up, but that's another video for another day. Here, I'm warming up with just body weight. Warm-up is normally 5 to 10 minutes. My first workout, I like to start with a compound movement where it requires a lot of my muscles to be used, like the hip thrust. This is a heavy day, so I'm doing 3 plates. Normally when I'm doing a hip thrust and heavy day, my form is not quite there. My goal when I'm trying to do this is to reach failure, which is hard to achieve, but we could try. Also, the rep range for this exercise, again because of the heavy load, it's normally 8 to 10 reps. At the end of each set, I'm exhausted. It takes me a little bit to recover, so my rest time is a little bit longer than normal. For a heavy load is 1 minute to 2 minute rest time. But now that I'm mastering this weight, my rest period is about 45 seconds and I'm good to go. When I started lifting though, I was doing 30 to 45 second rest time also, but I was also lifting lighter weight. As my weight increased, my rest period increased as well. And all this is done just to fatigue the muscle. That way we're pushing the muscle to its limit. Now it does take a lot of mental focus. Muscle-mind connection is very important. So keeping in mind the muscle you're working at while doing it, it's key. Here is that drop set that I'm talking about. This is done on my last set. I start dropping the weight plate by plate. I was like, hey, can you remove that one, please? If she could only take them as slow as possible, that would give me a lot more rest time. Oh my god, it looks like she's pretty damn quick. Now, why am I doing this again? Right, because I want muscles. I want to look good. Those are some of the cues that I tell myself every day for every exercise. When it's burning like hell and I want to stop, my body wants to stop, I turn it up a notch and I keep pushing. Exercise number 2. Reverse lunge on a Smith machine. This is a unilateral movement, which is great because sometimes I feel like one side of my body is stronger than the other, and that's totally normal, but this is a way that will help me balance that. Third exercise, squats in the Smith machine. These, I really don't do much, but when I do, I make sure I do full range of motion. I don't do them for personal reasons. My hands get numb if I believe I might be pinching a nerve, but other than that, this is a great exercise. The reason for the full range of motion is to have full contraction of the muscle. It gives an overall greater strength gains. I know better not to be an ego lifter, but don't get me wrong, squat pulses are great, but in my point of view, they have their time and purpose. I would do squat pulses as a finisher. So after I'm done with my sets, then I would probably do pulses at the bottom of the movement. So let me show you when I go down right there. These would help my muscles get stronger at that angle. Exercise number 4, Bulgarian split squats. By far, these are one of the hardest for me. They just burn, they hurt. But I've learned not to think about them and just get to work. The trick with these is leaning forward just a tiny bit so we can focus on the glutes. On the way up, pushing with that standing leg is key. The resting leg is just for support with very little assistance. The days that I feel a little bit tired or heavy days especially, I wear a lifting belt. To be honest, I could have totally gone for a heavier weight, but that's okay. 5th exercise, dumbbell deadlift. This is probably one of my favorites. It just comes so easy to me. Hinging at the hips, meaning pushing the hips back as far as you can while keeping the back straight, keeping the weight as close to you as possible, and bending the knees just a tiny bit. Focusing on the glutes, having that muscle-mind connection. You will feel them on the hammies too because it's part of the work. And maybe the lower back. It just depends. It took me some time to stop feeling it in the lower back, and also the belt is helping for the heavy weight to reduce that stress. I would totally practice without the weight and just the movement itself, just to get the form right. Trust me, my form was not like this in the beginning. Once you get the form down, I would start with some weights, making sure that the weight is not too heavy This exercise is a must to incorporate in lower body training. Exercise number 6, cable kickback. This is like the funnest exercise I like to do. It really doesn't feel that complicated, but I mean, it's working because I could feel it in the glutes. By maybe like the 4th set, my glutes are on freaking fire. But even in the beginning, they're already activated because of all the exercises that I did prior to that. And for someone that works out a lower body 3 times a week, yeah, they're gonna be burning. Again, I started with lower body once a week. On this exercise, I like to hold on to something while kicking back and straight out, still looking for that full range of motion. This is exercise number 7. It is still kickback, but a little bit different. Here I'm crossing my leg over. The leg behind it is at an angle, as you could see. Twisting my hip just a bit, still holding on to something, leaning forward just a tiny bit, and kicking back at an angle. This one could get a little bit tricky, but it is key not to let your body flip to the other side. If you try, you're gonna understand. I do get a lot of people that complain about lower back pain when they're doing this exercise. Not necessarily this one, but also the regular kickback. And as a beginner, we tend to get very tense and make other muscles activate, which is fine to a certain point. If you keep practicing and try to hit the right form, it will get better. Exercise number 8, hip abductor. When I'm doing this exercise, I always keep in mind not to swing my body. Sometimes it becomes a little hard when I increase the weight, so the best thing to do is to lower the weight, and I like to work at that weight for a while until I get stronger. Once I master that weight, I increase. Exercise number 9, glute extension. I like to do this exercise towards the end of my workout. By the time that I get to this one, my glutes are already exhausted. Turning the toes out, opening the legs a little bit, and rounding the back are key. Exercise number 10, glute adduction. It is key on this exercise to have muscle-mind connection. I like to keep my back straight at all times. Pushing the glutes out as much as possible makes them engaged. The position of the feet, I like to put them wherever I feel most comfortable. Exercise number 10, hip adductor. This one's similar to the cable hip abductor as well. It's just a different way of doing the exercises, which means it's activating different muscles. The other one we were standing and this one we're sitting. So it's a little bit different, but I like to incorporate both. Again, I like to add enough weight so then I could feel that the muscle is working. Also, I do like to keep my back straight as well, lean forward a little bit. It just seems that it works better for me and I could actually feel the muscle-mind connection. I do have a longer femur though. My thighs are a little bit longer. Exercise number 11, leg extension. This one, as you could see, I've learned that if you lean back a little bit on the chair, you get a bigger range of motion, a stretch on the muscle. I did work my way up on the weights. As soon as I mastered a certain amount of weight, I increased, then try to master that weight, and so on. I try to do my movements as controlled as possible. Controlling the weight is key versus letting the weight control you. I warn you, it will burn. Moving on to exercise number 12, seated leg curl. Here I'm going a little bit heavy and it's burning like hell. But pushing through the pain is what's gonna make the difference. I need to tear the muscle in order for it to grow, and therefore I push to my limits. I make sure that it's burning and I make sure that that muscle is ripping. I have worked my way to a higher weight, but normally I want to stick to a 12 rep with about 4 sets, just making sure that I have a weight that's making it challenging for me, that I'm not just swinging my legs up and down. I want to make sure that the working muscle is working. Exercise number 13, lying leg curl. This one's pretty self-explanatory, and by far this one was one of the hardest as a beginner, just because my hamstrings were not that strong. I do bring my chest up a little in my head, just because I don't want my body to cave in. Exercise number 14, leg press. This one is also a compound movement. I like to start them at the beginning of my exercise routine. just because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of muscles. Therefore, it needs a lot of energy. Hence why in the beginning, I make sure not to lift the glutes on this one. It's very important. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.